I want to recognize officers from the Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services. Maybe it's good that they introduce themselves. They can stand up so that you know them, or you know that in media it is helpful if you know. So these people stand in for, they work in the Media Services Department. Their main function is to attend to media needs, and therefore it is important that you know them. The other lady is Sylvia Manobo, and the other one is Linda Manobo. Let me also recognize members of the media. I see various levels and ranks, bosses, presidents, former presidents, and etc., journalists, editors. I can see everyone across from the media sector. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to begin by apologizing for speaking seated. I'm just copying him, but also my script is on the laptop. If I stand up, I might not be able to properly read it. I want to begin by thanking the UN Zimbabwe team for convening the media workshop. It is actually through the recognition of the importance of the media that the UN in Zimbabwe regularly engages with you members of the media to discuss ways of improving coverage of prevailing development and humanitarian issues. I also want to thank the United Nations Resident Coordinator for inviting the Permanent Secretary and his team to attend and give remarks on the workshop. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Information maintained and to promote social progress and better standards of life in larger freedom. Unquote. So the challenges facing the world today are many and are getting more and more complex. These include humanitarian crises resulting from war, natural disasters and poverty, devastations caused by diseases such as Ebola, malaria and HIV and AIDS, unprecedented refugee flows, global financial disruptions, and international terrorism, to mention but a few. The UN plays a vital role in helping countries to deal with the transnational and national challenges for the good of humankind. Zimbabwe became a member of the UN family at independence in 1980. Soon after, the UN established a permanent mission in Zimbabwe, and the country has benefited immensely from its membership. The UN has always been ready to assist Zimbabwe as it grapples with the post-colonial challenges of nation building. The government of Zimbabwe is most grateful to the United Nations for refusing to heed the call to legalize sanctions that were imposed by some powerful countries following the land reform program in Zimbabwe. In addition to playing a major role in the development and humanitarian issues facing Zimbabwe, the UN has also done a lot in helping the country to cope with the devastating effects of the illegal sanctions. I therefore want to acknowledge and applaud the cordial relations that are flourishing between the United Nations and the government of Zimbabwe. In particular, I want to thank UN Zimbabwe for its tireless and proactive efforts in availing assistance to our country through interventions in areas of need, capacity building at various levels, as well as galvanizing other development partners to rally behind us. Similar to other developing nations in the world today, Zimbabwe faces a myriad of challenges in nation building. The country is grappling with the need to reboot the economy, eradicate poverty, stabilize its currency, develop infrastructure, strengthen its institutions and policies for good governance, mitigate the effects of the illegal sanctions, among many areas, all aimed at improving the well-being of our people. The Second Republic, that began in November 2017 under the visionary leadership of President E.D. Mnangagwa, set an appealing, overarching national vision of transforming the country to an upper middle income country by 2030. To that end, government has been working tirelessly to put in place policies and programs that will make that vision a reality. These include a 2-year transitional stabilization program, a re-engagement policy, as well as policy and legal reforms, all aimed at creating an enabling environment for the country to prosper. In all these national programs, the UN has been and continues to be a willing partner, ready to come in with interventions that help the country attain its national targets faster than it would when it was doing that on its own. Focusing on the year 2019, we are all aware that Zimbabwe and other Southern African states were devastated by a natural disaster, Cyclone Idai, whose scope of destruction of limb and life, destruction of livelihoods and infrastructure was of a gigantic proportion. The reforms that are being implemented in the country to set the country on a firm foundation for growth will in the short term take a negative toll on our people. Further, Zimbabwe experienced drought in the 2018-2019 agricultural season, which requires robust interventions to guarantee national food and energy security. The United Nations, Zimbabwe has, however, assured the government of its commitment to help the country in finding solutions and mitigating the effects of these challenges. Given the noble role that the United Nations plays in improving the quality of life in the world, it goes without saying that it is pertinent for everyone to support its efforts. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to single out the importance of the media in making the goals and aspirations of the UN a reality. By calling on the media to rally behind the United Nations, I am not saying sweep data under the carpet. Rather, we call upon the media to be objective, ethical, and analytical in a progressive way as it covers the role of the United Nations. The ministry thus urges the media to play a critical role of scouting the environment, to publicize the challenges and threats facing the nation, highlight the good work done as a way of encouraging more good work by our partners, inform communities of the various interventions being done to help them to secure their, so that we can secure their buy-in in those programs, as well as to make them aware of the role they should play if the interventions are to yield the desired or to yield the maximum benefits or yield the desired outcomes. It is therefore imperative and pertinent that members of the media take it upon themselves to understand the various programs being carried out by the government of Zimbabwe and the United Nations for the good of the nation. You need to be empowered by information so that you can tell the Zimbabwean narrative in a way that reinforces and enhances the good work being done by the United Nations and the other development partners in the country. The Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, Senator Monica Mtsangwa, is on record for saying that we are all Zimbabweans. And if we fail together. And if we succeed together. You are members of the media and you have professional ethics to comply with. And we all understand and appreciate that. But first and foremost, you are Zimbabweans. The problems and challenges that every Zimbabwean faces, you also face them. So it is our collective responsibility to make sure that we say the Zimbabwean narrative in a fashion that helps the country to go through the challenges that it faces. Armed with the power of the pen, we implore you to use that power for the good of our country. The United Nations in Zimbabwe supports the National Development Plan of Zimbabwe, collectively through the Zimbabwe United Nations Development Assistance Framework, ZUNDAF. The current cycle of the ZUNDAF runs from 2016 to 2020, covering 7 national development priority areas, which include good governance for sustainable development, pro-poor sustainable growth and economic development, food security at household and national levels, sound management and use of the environment, natural resources, and land to promote sustainable development, access to and utilization of quality basic social services, universal access to HIV prevention, treatment, care and support, and women's empowerment, gender equality, and equity. The final details of all these programs will be given to you during this workshop. In doing its part, it is my pleasure to tell you that the government has embarked on the process of reviewing the country's media laws and policies to create an enabling environment for the media. The main objective of the media reforms is to create laws that govern your sector aligned to the new constitution and to attain international best practices. The media law and policy reform trajectory commenced with the announcement of the legislative agenda for the 9th Parliament that was done by His Excellency the President. The legal reform process in the media included consultations with media stakeholders, drafting the new views and policies, and now is at the stage of being subjected to the national processes required to make those views law. Is that the access to information, and maybe let me qualify it as saying the infamous Access to Information and Protection of Privacy Act, IPA, is now going to be replaced by 3 hopefully progressive acts, which are the Freedom of Information Bill, the Zimbabwe Media Commission Bill, and the Protection of Personal Information Data Protection Bill. For the first time, Zimbabwe will also have a media and film policy to guide your operations. The draft, which came after wide consultations as well, has since been submitted to the Cabinet Committee for legislation for its consideration. The United Nations Family in Zimbabwe and other development partners, such as the European Union, were instrumental in supporting the media reform process by availing financial resources as well as giving moral support. Parallel to the media reforms, government has the ongoing digitalization project, which is now around 37% complete. Although progress has been hampered and delayed by the unavailability of adequate funding, government remains committed to the project. The ministry continues to seek resources and continues to receive those resources in drips and drabs, and is moving forward with the digitalization progress. Although that progress has been very slow, I want to assure you once more that government is committed and the ministry is committed to make sure that project is completed. When complete, the digitalization project will revolutionize media in Zimbabwe by improving universal access, plurality, and diversity. It's not automatic that by digitalizing we then have plurality and diversity, but the capacity brought by digitalization will enable the country to then allow for increased media houses to be established, more services to be offered, and hopefully address issues to do with diversity, independence, and all those other things, niceties that you call for in the media. Meanwhile, that program will guarantee the growth of the industry, it will also provide employment to a great extent, and obviously it will ensure that quality media products are being given to the nation. Let me end by saying that judging by the quality of the agenda items that Mr. Sirak shared with us here and were adopted by the House, you will leave this place richer in mind and empowered to contribute to the well-being of the nation through the United Nations programs and works in Zimbabwe as a result of your reportage. I want to thank you for participating in the workshop and for listening to my few remarks. I thank you. Slowing digitalization or delaying digitalization. I thought you look at me since you asked, that I address. Next time don't ask me again. So I can see you are disconcerted. Unless if you are taking notes, then I accept, acknowledge. Okay, the process is costly. It's over 170 million
US dollars to be complete in the whole country. So we started that also. The resources were not available at once, were not made available at once. It's not as if all the 180 million required for the project was made available and people are now slow in implementing. Rather, the government has been able to source maybe 5 million, maybe 7 million, maybe 10 million every time that it came after periods. And slowly we've been making some progress. So the very reason why we cannot complete the program very fast is because we didn't get all the resources at once, one. Two, you understand the economic environment. Prices have been shooting up. Things have not been so stable economically. And that also has provided challenges for those that are implementing the project. But also accessing foreign currency. In the past, we would get resources in local currency, but actual hard cash, hard currency was not easy to get. So those are some of the challenges that are delaying the process. But I want to assure you that government is committed and progress is being made. Actually, there's a lot that has been achieved, but we cannot open partially. We cannot start to, there are quite a number of studios, systems that have been digitalized, that can actually function. There are communities that can actually receive digital signal, but we are waiting for national commissioning on the project when the resources, when we made substantive progress to make it a real national project. Then why 3? Why 4? What about 2 or 1? I don't think it's anything to do with the numbers. Well, and it seems you prefer 1, but we had 1 IPA and you were crying. So we thought numbers would also help you. We didn't understand very well because I attended a number of meetings where my bosses would ask members of the media, anyone to raise unless people were scared. My bosses would ask, anyone here from the media who can raise the issues or that they are not yet with IPA? No one was answering us to give us real, maybe only complaints around accreditation or so. So we thought maybe one of the complaints was that IPA was only one single law which was superintending the print sector. Well, maybe more of a joke, but it's stylistic. It's about style. It's about conception, conceptualization. We thought maybe it is important to separate the 3 so that the Zimbabwe Media Commission, it could not continue to governed by the same act that governs the rest of the media sector. Why? Because the Zimbabwe Media Commission is a creation of the Constitution and is independent. Therefore, it must have its own act that it administers, or which sees to its establishment. That's one. Then the other one is the access to information, which is basically more or less information. Then the other one is has to do with the data protection. But the aspect of data protection, it strides on 2 sectors, the ICT ministry and the information and publicity ministry. So we then combine the ends to deal with those areas. And that is maybe to me the reason why they ended up being 3. They could have been 2, they could have been 1, but we didn't see any harm. We didn't think that other than content, you would complain also about numbers. I hope I have answered those questions. I don't know if there are any other questions. Are you saying that SABA is providing resources for digitalizing?
SABA is supposed to help members acquire. And ZBC, in fact, Zimbabwe is one of the countries that is a major player. How is it a major player? It is hosting SABA News, which is the flagship of...
No. Yeah, no, that one is fine. What I wasn't sure of, I'm not aware that SABA is providing resources
that are helping member states to digitalize. What I only know is that the collective, the association, helps members to benefit by giving technical support, by giving moral support, technical support, sharing and coordinating issues around digitalization, trying to help each other overcome challenges that might come as a result of the new technology. Yes, that one is happening. But really, in terms of resource, I don't know of any country that have received an amount of money to deal with digitalization requirements.
It's not the amount of money I'm talking about, Major. I'm talking about the capability of SABA to.
It is quite acknowledged. We acknowledge that SABA is a good association, and that's why ZBC is a member. Yes. So we think that we are doing our best to work with SABA, and if ZBC is not doing enough, well, we'll probe them and ask them to improve. But we think that they are actually a member and they are enjoying the benefits of being a member.
I hope you understood me. I meant that ZBC is actually doing more than anyone else.
Right.
So it should be benefiting more. I'm surprised that it is not.
Why do you say it's not benefiting?
37%, Major.
No, but 37% I told you is a result of resources. Unless if you are saying SABA is providing resources. That's why I asked you first, do you know of a country which has been given the resources, financial resources by SABA? Because if I'm giving you technical support, it's different from providing you with resources.
No, it's different.
Yes, so we must make a distinction. So SABA is giving technical support. I cannot judge qualitatively how much support it has received so far as ZBC, and I cannot make a public statement about that. But what I know is there is collaboration. But if SABA had given any other country resources, financial, and Zimbabwe had not benefited, then we could quantify and say, Namibia got 40 million, why didn't you get? Then we will ask ZBC why they are not accessing the money. But I'm not aware of that. But if you think that the level of cooperation is not enough, we can always ask them to improve. There is no harm in doing that. Thank you. Yes, the next one, I hope we are not going to move away from the focus. I could have mentioned certain things, but the whole idea was to try and give a background that helps us to appreciate UN-related issues. So the issues that we use, we are one family, you and ourselves. We are one family. We should not come and start to fight here on with the UN being the referee. However, the last question, it talks about one of the bills that is earmarked, the Freedom of Information Act, that it fails to meet the latent spirit of providing for the access to information. And you have a feeling that what its stakeholders contributed is not what the bill is reflecting. I saw also a statement by, I think by MISA. I saw a statement by MISA which was saying exactly the same way you are saying it, suggesting he could have been the person who contributed the draft for the MISA statement. But well, this is only a draft, right? This is a draft which is being worked on. It has been submitted to the Cabinet Committee on Legislation, where more work still needs to be done. If stakeholders have got concerns, they should bring them forward. But let me point out that a law remains a law. We cannot get 100% of all we need about our laws. Laws will get inputs, people, society will input, stakeholders will input, and a law is enacted. But that law needs to take a balance between overall issues that are overall, that have to do with collective governance, but also to take our personal interests as individuals as well as institutions. So that balance is not easy to come by. I don't think you will get a law where everyone says it's good. Because right now I was here listening to a debate on the marriages law or something like that, a draft bill that is I don't know if it is true, I saw it on social media. And they were saying that now there will be civil, that a person, a married person is allowed to have a civil partner. More or less a small house, both husband and wife. I don't know whether that is correct. Others will say, yeah, that's good, that's good. Others will say, no, but why they are destroying it? So we will never have laws that satisfy everyone across the board. There will be complaints here and there. But the overall aim is one, to align the laws to the new constitution. Two, to improve in terms of the quality of the law, so that we can also at least attain international best practices. If the institutions or yourselves or media houses have a feeling that the bills have weaknesses, we request you, we have a minister that is listening, a PEMSEC that is listening, we request you to put your submissions in writing to the ministry, so that, because we are still in the process of drafting, so we can always incorporate those ideas, rather than to make a lot of noise, keep quiet, get angry, and then wait until it is act, and then start to criticize and make noise. So let's make the noise now. Let's give the information that you think can help to improve the bill to the ministry. But like I said, I don't think that it is possible to need to walk through to do a balancing act that pleases everyone, in as far as making sure that we have an effective law that is good for the media, but also is good for national security.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mutambuzi, for the comprehensive response.